Divorce is an unfortunate reality for many marriages in America, and the process can have lasting impacts on any children involved. We're happy to welcome in Colby Pearce with Cordell Cordell today to talk about how to minimize those effects. Welcome in.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
Well, no doubt divorces can be messy. And when it comes to kids, like we said, lasting impacts on kids, what are some things people can do to avoid those impacts?
Just really working on having an effective co-parenting relationship. It's important because when I deal with very high conflict cases sometimes, and they always say there are very few winners in divorce cases, but the real losers are oftentimes the children. So it can affect them emotionally, it can affect their school, relationships, both current and future. So really prioritizing the children as opposed to whatever battle you're having with your ex or soon-to-be ex is really important.
Of course, no one plans on getting a divorce when they get married, but if you're in that position, what are some things, the courtroom can have lasting impacts on kids, and it's not the fun place to be. What advice do you have for people to maybe find a resolution without the long, drawn-out court battle?
Sure. We have many different approaches that we use. In many counties across Oklahoma, the courts are going to require the parties to go to what's called mediation. That's a process where I would sit down with my client in a conference room, and the other side's in another conference room, and a mediator goes back and forth to try to see about reaching a resolution instead of having to go fight out a battle in court. So that's one way to try to reduce conflict. Just trying to communicate and having an open mind and communicating with the other parent is really important early on and throughout the process, because people don't have trust going through a divorce, and so just really trying to do what's best for your children.
You said you got to have a plan, but you also said there's no winners. When it comes to the custody arrangements, I mean, for those divorce situations where there's children under the age of 18, what are the courts looking for in resolving that issue? Sure,
yeah. The overarching standard is what we call the best interest standard. So the judges are really looking at what would be in the best interest of the kids. And so the parent who can provide stability for the children, the parent who's doing the day-to-day parenting, maybe they're taking the children to their doctor's appointments, maybe they're getting them to their extracurricular activities. So I tell my clients to be as involved as you possibly can, and try to prepare for that ahead of time, because sometimes if you do it too late, it is too late. So really be as actively involved in your child's life as you possibly can, because that's what the court's looking at.
When it comes to the kids, how much advice do you give to parents to really put the children first in every decision they make in this? If they don't want to be together, that's fine, but how do we make this easier on the kids?
That's the top priority, is doing what's in the best interest of the kids. So we use co-parenting applications. Communication is important, and so sometimes people are not able to communicate either in person or over the phone. So having a co-parenting application where they can communicate in a monitored way, that can be something that can be used in court as evidence if things are said that they don't want to say, and they can't be edited like text messages can. Mm-hmm. So those are some things we use to try to reduce conflict, but also promote communication.
Awesome. Well, Colby, thank you so much. Very important tips for this situation. Thank you.